Dear students, in this video we are going to see about the direct online starter for starting three-phase induction motors. We are going to see about the starters for three-phase induction motors, especially squirrel cage induction motors. There are four methods of starting up these squirrel cage induction motors using direct online starters, stator resistance starters, auto transformer starters, star delta starters. Why the starter is required for induction motor? At the time of starting, the induction motor takes the starting current around 5 to 10% more than the normal or actual running current. So in order to reduce or control the starting current, we have to use the device is called the starters. So that the starter is required for induction motor. Now we are going to see about the direct online the starter, that is DOL starter for induction motor. This diagram represents the direct online starter for three-phase induction motor. The three-phase induction motor consists of stator and rotor. The stator is directly connected with the three-phase supply. Once the supply is given to the stator, the rotating magnetic field is created that will rotate around the stator. The rotor is closely connected inside the stator, so that the rotating magnetic field swipe over the rotor, so that the rotor will start to rotate due to the Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. Voltage three-phase supply is directly connected to the stator. The stator getting the three-phase supply, the rotor start to rotate. Now, why the starter is required? In order to stop the motor, or in order to protect the at the time of overcurrent. Why the starter is required? The starter is required to protect the motor while abnormalities will take place. So we will see the major parts of the DOL starters, or major components present in the DOL starter. The first one is fuse. The fuse is used to protect the motor, especially for the overcurrents. So for that purpose, the three fuses are inserted in the three-phase supply. Similarly, for thermal overload relay, the thermal overload relay is used, that is in series with the stator. The main purpose is when the motor thermal rating is increased beyond the normal value, then the thermal overload relay will energize and disconnect the main supply to the motor. Then we are going to see about that the functionality of the motor. We are going to connect the setup arrangement consists of plunger connected with the 4 points M1, M2, M3 and A1. M1, M2, M3 represent the main contacts. A1 represent the auxiliary contact that will be used to keep the contact position in energized manner. The magnetizing coil is used here, that is used to keep the plunger in contact position, that is connected with the three-phase supply. Start and stop button is used to start the motor and stop the motor. For the start button is normally open contact, NO point, that is normally open. If you are going to press the start button, the NO point is converted into NC point, normally closed point. Similarly, for the stop button, stop is normally NC point, that is normally closed point. If you are going to press the stop button, the NC point is converted into NO point. So these are the basic components about the DOL starter. Now we are going to see about the animation of this DOL starter. This is a diagram represent the animation of the DOL starter. Now we are going to apply for that supply to the stator via the fuse and thermal overload relay that is connected to the main contacts M1, M2, M3. Now the supply is ready to give to the stator, but actually the main plunger is in open position. In order to keep that main conductor M1, M2, M3 closed manner, we need to energize the magnetizing coil while pressing the start button. Now we are going to press the start button. The magnetizing coil is energized via the start and stop button that is connected with the points M2 and M3. Once the main supply is connected to the M2 and M3 points, the plunger is attracted. That by means of magnetized, the coil is magnetized so that the plunger is attracted. Once the plunger is attracted, M1, M2, M3 points will be connected to the stator. Once the 3 points will be connected, the stator getting the 3-phase supply from the source. So now we are going to remove, once press the start button, then release the start button, the normally closed point is converted into NO point. Once converted to NO points, the main supply is disconnected. In order to keep that magnetizing coil is always magnetized one, we have to keep the alternative direction of current, so that we have to keep the magnetizing coil in a magnetized mode, so that the plunger will be always connected in the same close to contact position. So the magnetizing coil is now the connected via the points A1 to stop button and connected to the M2 point. So this is the way the plunger is attracted by means of the magnetizing coil. So this is the function for the start button. Now we are going to press the start button. Now motor is getting the 3-phase supply, start rotate. Now we are going to apply for the stop button. Once the stop button is pressed, the stop button is converted from NC point to NO point, normally closed point to normally open point. Once the button is converted into normally open points, the supply is disconnected. Once the supply is disconnected, the plunger is returned back to the original position by means of spring action. Once it is returned to the original position, the points M1, M2 will be M2, M3 will be disconnected, so that the main supply will be disconnected. So the stator unable to get the supply from the main source, so that the motor will be stopped. So in this way, the direct online starter is working. This starters, it is a very simple starter, very cost effective. We have to use it for the low rating 3-phase induction motor for this DOL starter. Thank you.